المقاومة لا تستطيع أن تقف مكتوفة الأيدي ويكشف ظهرها.
ليس حزبا لبنانيا ولكنه فرقة إيرانية.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Future TV. I'm Linda Tamim and these are today's top stories. Lawmakers approve the extension of the parliament's term for 17 months. Hundreds of rebels from northern Syria managed to enter the besieged city of Kosair to help opposition forces battling government troops. And Nigerian authorities say they have arrested 3 Lebanese north of the country on suspicion of being members of Hezbollah. Parliament has voted to extend its own term until November 20th of 2014. Legislative session to vote on the 17-month extension of Parliament's term has begun under the chairmanship of Speaker Nabih Berri. The National News Agency says Berri has convened with future bloc head MP Fuad Senura upon the latter's arrival to the Parliament. Deputy Prime Minister Samir Muqbil has announced he will abstain from participating in the Parliament session. On another note, Lebanese President Michel Sleiman has convened with the Minister of Agriculture, Hussein Haj, the Minister of Economy, Nicolas Hassan, and the Minister of Labour, Salim Jreisati, over the latest developments with view to extending the Parliament's term. Tight security is in place at the municipality in the northern city of Tripoli because of threats received by Alawite staff. Police and Lebanese soldiers cordoned off the area around Tripoli's City Hall after a municipal staff from the Alawite sect said they had received threats of being beaten up if they attended work. At least 30 people were killed in the latest round of fighting in Tripoli earlier this month between predominantly Alawite gunmen loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and mainly Sunni fighters who support Syrian rebels. Prime Minister-designate Tamam Salam says Lebanon should stay out of the Syrian conflict and Hezbollah's involvement is not helping matters. In remarks published in the French daily Le Figaro, Salam said Lebanon should keep its distance from what is going on in Syria, given the heated situation there. He added Lebanon should preserve national unity at all costs and Hezbollah's military involvement is not helping matters. The party has sent its fighters to help Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's troops recapture the key town of Kosair near the border with Lebanon. Salam said the government should convince Hezbollah not to get any deeper into the Syrian conflict. In an interview broadcast Thursday, Assad acknowledged that Hezbollah fighters were helping his forces in the battle for Kosair and said he was very confident of victory. Foreign Affairs Minister Adnan Mansour has rejected listing Hezbollah. We have to cut this short now as we go live to MP Michel Aoun, who's about to speak.
كثير دقيقة هو معالجة قضية كثير دقيقة يعني لا وصلنا لهون الأسباب كثيرة والنوايا كثيرة لأن بس كل واحد وقت اللي بيطول بمعالجة موضوع ببين نواياه ما بتضل بخفية. وصلنا لهون لأن تعطل مجلس النواب بين تشرين واغتيال الله يرحمه وسام الحسن عطلوا مجلس النواب 3 أشهر. هذه راحت من أمر المجلس النيابي. كان فينا نعد القانون ونبحثه ب3 أشهر أكثر. لا وصلنا لهون لأنه تقدم جميع أنواع القوانين يلي ممكن فيها المنصف المطلق وفيها المنصف النسبي مش كل الأنصاف. طرحنا للقانون النسبية بالدوائر المتوسطة، قانون بينصف بين كل اللبنانيين والتمثيل النسبي. ما انرفض القانون، ليه ما بدنا نسمع بنسبية؟ طيب شو بدنا نسمعه؟ قلنا في قانون الأرثوذكسي كل واحد بيتمثل بحجمه الطبيعي، ما بدنا اياه، هيدا طائفي ونعطوه بكل شيء، بينما ما في شيء من الطائفيه، بعده اقل طائفيه من النظام اللي عايشينه نحن، يلي عم نعطل تطبيقه احيانا، بضل يعني طبعا مدعين انه الطائفيه السياسيه عم تخرب كل شيء، بينما نحن ما لها علاقه الطائفيه السياسيه بالتخريب، التخريب اراده بشريه. طرحنا قانون مختلط مثل ما طرحوا دولة الرئيس بري نص أرثوذكسي ونص أكتري، كمان لأنه منصف شوي ما قبلوا فيه، عملوا قانون مركب على قياس حتى يضلوا محتفظين بأكترية وما يحرروا كل المقاعد المسيحية. أصبحنا النوايا منا نوايا لا أمنية ولا نوايا سليمة تجاه تضييع الوقت والوصول لهم، ولا قضية ميثاقية. اليوم في مفتي الطائفة السنية، في بطرك الموارنة، في يلي بيمثلوا بالفعل أكترية المسيحية اللي قالوا فيها القانون. طيب هلا نرجع للقانون ذاته استنادا لشو؟ اليوم مجلس الدستوري امام اختبار كبير جدا، وان شاء الله ما يرتكب الخطا التاريخي، لان حاطين بالاسباب اسباب التمديد انه الان في ازمه سياسيه، يحضروا القضاة بالازمات السياسيه بيأثروا عمر المجلس، ما بيمددون وبيعملوا انتخابات عن تاني وجديد. قالوا لان الوضع الامني. طيب اذا واحد شيل الصواريخ من مخزنه وضربها على مرمى، بكره واحد ثاني كمان بمره ثانيه من الانتخابات بيشيلهم من حي شعبي محطوطين بالملجأ، كمان بفجرهم بقلب المدينه. هيدي اسباب ما بتشكل عائق هون، ولو انها بتشكل عائق يبقى كان في شيء بيمنع انه يكبشوا اللي حطوا رماهم من ارض معروفه على هدف معروف بساعه معروفه. كل الناس ما خبى حاله، يعني كتار ناس شافوه وبيعرفوه. فاذا النوايا بنعتبرها نحن كمان سيئه جدا. وفي كمان بالاضافه لنا للبتراء في رئيس جمهوريه عم يطعن. طيب فيهن عم يطعنوا بكلامهم وبتصرفاتهم، كلهم طالعين ردها صريحه ندمانين وغصب عنا. شو حيلة اغتصاب هي ولا حيلة فعل إرادة؟ لا، شو اللي جابهم لهونيك؟ هل إرادتهم مملوكة من الخارج؟ هل مستعمرين إفراديا؟ بدهم يعرفوا يعدوا قديش ال 64 من كل جهة؟ قديش قوانينهم بتحرر ناخب اللبناني حتى ينتخب بصورة صحيحة؟ لا. قال له جهة لبنية والجمعية لبنية تانية. ما في إرادة إنهم يعملوا انتخابات بهالوقت هيدا. يمكن أسباب تانية مش سياسية، حسابية، لأنه يمكن القانون ال60 حتى ما راح يضمن لهم الأكترية اللي بدهم إياها، ولذلك استعجلوا كثير التبديد. طيب يلي قبلوا بالتمديد وكانوا عم يفتشوا على 64 نية. طيب شو طلع له هلا نية من قانون 60؟ وشو الضمانة اللي بدهم ياخذوها انه بيطلع لهم قانون غير ال60؟ بعد سنة، بعد سنة ونص. يقولوا لنا شو هي الضمانة؟ فإذا ضاع التوازن تبع النظام تبعنا، ضاع كل شيء في سبيل مصالح ذاتية على دوافع خارجية. هلا شو بدي اجي احط لكم اسباب الطعن؟ ملف بكره بتشوفوه، بس يتقدم المجلس الدستوري بتشوفوه. ما محترم شيء ابدا، لا من الدستور ولا من غير الدستور، ولا من التقاليد ولا من الاجتهادات ولا من الاسباب الموجبه. وعم نقول انه المجلس الدستوري اليوم هو قيد الامتحان، مش نحن ولا مجلس النواب. شكرا. هذا كثير محدد.
Welcome back. British Ambassador to Lebanon Tom Fletcher has expressed concern over the involvement of Lebanese fighters in battles in Syria, voicing the international community's hope that Lebanon will have carried out elections on time. Following talks with Prime Minister Najib Mikati at the Grand Serai, Fletcher said he was saddened Iran was sending sons of Lebanon to die for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. He called on those who care about Lebanese national interests to act neutral. Concerning the extension of the parliament's term by around 17 months, Fletcher said the international community hopes that elections will take place despite the ambiguous situation in the country. He added it is crucial to support the army, dialogue, and PM-designate Tamam Slam's efforts to form a consensus government. Hundreds of rebels from northern Syria have managed to enter the besieged city of Kosair to help opposition forces battling government troops backed by the Lebanese group Hezbollah. Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said hundreds of fighters from the Tahwid Brigade, an Islamist group that is powerful in Aleppo in the north, had entered the town. The two-week battle for Kosair is aimed at securing supply routes near the Syrian border with Lebanon, which both sides accuse the other of using bolster for their fears inside Syria. Rebels have lost more than two-thirds of the town to Assad and Hezbollah forces, but say they are still hunkered down in central Kosair. They had faced a tight blockade that prevented fighters or supplies from entering and the wounded from leaving. Russia has yet to send advanced anti-aircraft missiles to Syria, according to a close source to the Russian Defense Ministry. But in an interview with Lebanon's Nahar television, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad said Moscow was still committed to contract to deliver them. Yumna Naufal reports.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has threatened Israel with a retaliation over future military aggression as more than 1,000 rebels rushed to the besieged city of Kosair near the border with Lebanon. George Sabra, the interim president of the Syrian National Coalition, said on Friday that opposition fighters were flooding into Kosair, which had been under rebel control for months until government troops moved to retake the town in Homs 2 weeks ago. Assad, whose forces were battling alongside fighters from Hezbollah to recapture the town, said earlier in an interview with Hezbollah's Al-Manar television that he was confident of victory. Assad also said Syria in principle would be willing to attend peace talks backed by Russia and the United States with the opposition next month in Geneva, but any subsequent deal would have to be approved by referendum. Russia has yet to send advanced anti-aircraft missiles to Syria, a source close to the Russian Defense Ministry said, but Assad said Moscow was still committed to the contract to deliver them. The advanced missiles would make it far more dangerous for Western countries to impose any future no-fly zone over Syrian airspace and could even be used to shoot down aircraft deep over the airspace of neighbors like Israel or Turkey. Russia promised to deliver the missile system despite Western objections. Moscow also said the expiry of the EU embargo complicates U.S. and Russian-led efforts to set up the peace conference between the Syrian government and its opponents. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department expressed concerns about Russia's continued support of Assad's regime after the recent announcement of missile system shipment.
We have seen the reports, both comments by the Syrian regime of receipt of those as well as by the Russian government. We can't comment on specifics of that, but we have expressed, and I'll express again today, our concerns about Russia's continued support for the Syrian regime through finances, through the provision of arms, and that is a concern that the Secretary has expressed to the Foreign Minister as recently as just a couple of days ago.
Furthermore, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that he is disappointed with the UN's political games, adding that he wants a proper investigation into a reported Syrian chemical weapons incident. Speaking at a conference following talks with Bosnian Foreign Minister Zlatko Lagumdžića, Lavrov said that a thorough investigation into chemical weapons incidents must be completed.
Nigerian authorities say they have arrested 3 Lebanese in northern Nigeria on suspicion of being members of Hezbollah. The military said the 3 suspects were arrested in the northern city of Kano. They added a raid on one of their residences had revealed a stash of heavy weapons. Basay Etang, director of the State Security Service in Kano State, said that the weapons found belonged to Hezbollah members. All had admitted to being members of Hezbollah under questioning. The Secret Service detained the first suspect, Mustafa Fawaz, on May 16th at his supermarket in Kano. His interrogation led to other suspects, including Abdullah Tahini, who was later arrested at Kano airport with $60,000 in undeclared cash. The third, Talal Roda, a Nigerian and Lebanese citizen, was arrested on Sunday at the house where the weapons were found 2 days later. And now for news around the world in brief. Authorities have intercepted a threatening letter addressed to President Barack Obama that was similar to ones sent to New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. The Secret Service said the letters sent to Bloomberg and his gun control group contained material believed to be the deadly poison ricin and contained a reference to gun control. Sources say the White House mail screening facility turned the letter over to FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Forces. A former Microsoft executive plans to create the first U.S. national marijuana brand. With cannabis, he hopes to eventually import legally from Mexico. Jamin Shively said he was kicking off his business by acquiring medical pot dispensaries in 3 U.S. states. He envisions his Seattle-based enterprise to become the leader in both recreational and medical cannabis, much like Starbucks is the dominant name in coffee, he said. Shively, 45, said he was soliciting investors for $10 million in startup money. Firefighters continue to battle wildfires burning out of control in Southern California. Fire officials say the fire burning in the Los Angeles National Forest has spread to 1,000 acres and is burning near power stations and utility lines. Officials have called off an evacuation order for a mountain community as conditions improved for firefighters during the late night hours. It is unknown how many homes were affected, but approximately 1,000 people live in the area. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now let me remind you of our headlines. Lawmakers approved the extension of the parliament's term for 17 months. Hundreds of rebels from northern Syria managed to enter the besieged city of Kosair to help opposition forces battling government groups. And finally, Nigerian authorities say they have arrested 3 Lebanese north of the country on suspicion of being members of Hezbollah. Those are today's headlines from FutureTV, live from Beirut. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, for more of the world's top stories. Have a great evening.
المقاومة لا تستطيع أن تقف مكتوفة الأيدي ويكشف ظهرها.
ليس حزبا لبنانيا ولكنه فرقة إيرانية.